Okay, the next tab or page in the generation options is the motive. We haven't looked at that yet, and this is a lot to digest here. So we're just going to take this, piece by piece and see how much of this stuff we can kind of digest, and I think we'll come away from it in good shape. Okay, so the first thing we've got is the start note, and I presume that that means the first note in the first bar. And so what we can do is we can select which scale note, what scale notes we would consider as possibilities, and what I've got here is just the 1, the 3, and the 5, which is the C major triad or C minor triad if we're in the minor mode. Okay, so that's not a bad choice, but obviously we could expand it. You can have a melody that starts on any scale degree, but typically melodies will start on the first scale degree or the fifth and so on. So let's just try just to see if we understand this thing right. Let's just set the start note to 1. That means every melody we generate should start on C. Okay? So that one starts on C, that one starts on C, that one starts on C. Yep, they're all starting on C. In fact, they're all starting on C4. Okay, good. So we understand that properly. Now let's say C and D. Okay, so the melody can start on C and D. And let's see if that works. Like, there's D, there's C, D, C, C, D. Yep. Okay. And then our last test will be, how about the 1, 3, and 5? So C, G, or E. All the first notes should be one of those 3. Let's try it. Okay, there's the G, there's the C, there's the G, there's the C, there's the C, the G, G, there's the E. So, yep, that works. So this start note thing works exactly as we would expect. Okay? All right. Now we go to steps and leaps. And the tooltip, let's see if we can bring up the tooltip. Okay. 100% means only steps. 0% means only leaps will be used. Okay. So 100% means steps, 0% means leaps. So leaps are on, let's see if we can, so 100% is just steps. Now, I find this very counterintuitive because when I bring it to 100, the word leaps is there. So we could go 0 to 100, which is a range. Well, let's set it at 0 and see what happens. In fact, let's keep it as simple as we can. It starts on C, and we've got steps set at 0, and let's see what happens. Okay, there are no leaps there. But we have a leap. We have a leap there in the first bar. We go from C to C5. We go from C to G. No leaps there. There's a leap there. there's a leap between the 1 and the 3. So we have some leaps. Okay. So let's try setting it at 100. So it says steps 100%. I mean, you would think that that means just steps. So let's try that. Well, we have a leap from the E down to from the first E, from the E in the first bar down to C in the second bar. And then we have a leap. It goes from, let me point, it goes from C, C, then down to A, so we got a leap there. And then we leap from B down to G, so definitely we have leaps there. Let's try it again. No leaps there. One leap there. No leaps there. One leap. No leaps. One leap. One leap. No leaps. No leaps. One leap. One leap. Okay. So I would say we have mostly steps, but we have some leaps. So let's look at that setting again. Steps 100%. I mean, you think that this has got to be, so this didn't quite hold true, right? Because we had a couple of leaps. However, what we have to be careful about, let's turn off the variations and try it. Turn off this lead-in note here. There's a leap there, one leap. One leap. Got a couple of leaps there. Okay. So we have steps set at 100, but we still have a couple of leaps. And then if we let's make it like steps are 80%. That's 4 out of 5. And then let's do 80 to 100. Does that mean this number of steps is 80 to, it could be a minimum of 4 out of 5 or maximum of 5 out of 5? Maybe that's what it means. Let's try that. Well, we have a big leap there. We have one leap, no leap, no leap, one leap, one leap, one leap. I'm going to make the density, I'm going to pump it up. I think that might make things more clear. If we have more notes, we can see the leaps. And then here, so we're at, let's do steps 40. So we got a leap, one leap from the C down to the A, and then from the B up to the D is another leap, and then we've got a leap from the E down to the C. So we have about 3 leaps there, and we set it at what? You set steps at 40%. Well, that, to me, that would mean that 60% of the moves are going to be leaps, and that's clearly not the case here. We've got more steps. So let's steps set at 100. Let's do 95 to 100% steps. Let's just try that. I mean, we do have one big leap there, but other than that, it's just steps. Again, one big leap, but all steps after that. One big leap, steps. One big leap, steps. Although we have some leaps in the first bar. We're going from A down to F, and then we're going from G down to E. So we've got a couple of leaps. Actually, we have 3 leaps. 3 leaps in bar 1, and 4 if you count the leap up to, well, we have 3 leaps in bar 1, and our setting is 95 to 100% leaps. Yeah. It seems like and then if we did like, if we put it at this end, let's see if we get substantially fewer leaps. Well, we have 1 in bar 1. I'm honestly not seeing any rhyme or reason to this. I really am not. I don't see where any of these settings seem to be changing the overall proportion between steps and leaps. I'm really just not seeing that. So what am I doing wrong here? Leap weights. Set all values to maximum. So in other words, here you can set so a leap is anything greater than 1 scale step, right? So that's why we've got this these options here, whatever you want to call them. So you can have a leap. The minimum leap is -2 steps, and it can go up. It can go down to -7, or in the other direction. So you can go up 2 scale steps, or 3 scale steps, or 4 scale steps, or 5 or 6. So you go from the smallest leap, like C, 2 scale steps would be C to E, right? Skipping D. Okay? And obviously that's what you see the most of, that kind of leap. And then the bigger the leap, the less you tend to see it, because you know, big leaps, a lot of big leaps make a melody just too jagged, so you're not going to see that. But just to experiment, what if we select 100 for the sense? So that would be C to B, right? Or D to C. We'll just select in either direction, okay? And let's put this at 0 to 53, and let's see what happens. Well, first of all, I don't see any leaps of 7 steps. The 2 down to the D up there at D4 down to F3. You know what we need to do? I know what we need to do. Let's make this, we have to make this bigger. So let's change this to B2 to C5. Okay, so that gives us plenty of room there. Yeah. I mean, we have 2 big leaps there, but they're not by 7. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. That's up a 6. That's down a 6. Let's try another one. Let's go back to this leaves. So you have a choice here of making them all equal, set all values to maximum, which I guess basically means that it's just as likely to have a leap of a fifth as it is for a second. And then you have this weighted thing, which would be, you know, the typical probably this one here is the most typical, but it doesn't allow for any leaps above 4 scale steps. So you could leap from C to G, right? C, D, E, F, G, that's 4. But you couldn't go up a 6, that's 5. And you couldn't go up a, am I right? Well, you get the general idea, okay? So, I mean, I kind of like this one that allows you to leap by a 6 scale step. So that's, I think that brings you to B. It's like the interval plus 1. So 6, D would be 1, C to D would be 1, E 2, F 3, G 4, A 5, B 6, 7. 7 is the octave. Yeah, that's right. That's right. 7 scale steps up from any note is the octave. So that's it. Sorry about that, guys. So the 6th is a 7th up, and the 5th is your 6th. 4 scale steps is a jump of a 5th. 3 is a 4th, and 2 is a third. Okay, yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I would do, sometimes an octave jump is actually kind of nice. There's some really famous melodies that leap up by an octave. So I would include that. Okay. So that might be good. So let's set this to 40 to 60. See what happens there. Let's hear that. Well, we've got a couple of leaps by from 1 to 4, which that's 3. That's a leap of 3 scale steps. I like that though. That sounds good. Let's try another one. That's good. That's working. That's nice. Seems like we have a nice kind of balance between leaps and scale steps here. It's almost kind of 50-50. If we count them, let's count them up. So in bar 1, there's 1, 2, 3. So we got 3 leaps in bar 1. I'm not going to count the leap between the 2 bars. I have a feeling that the melody editor doesn't consider that a leap. Okay, so I'm just going to say there's 3 leaps in bar 1. And in bar 2, there's just 1. So it's a total of 4 leaps. Okay? Total of 4 leaps. So if we look at our steps leaps ratio, it's 40% to 60, and we have 4 leaps. Okay, I think this is where, saving a preset makes some sense. Once we get a good result. So how are we gonna label this preset? I think the key here is the steps are at 40 to 60, and the leap weights are in the middle here. So what do we want to call min, max, average, minimum? We could do that. Max, that would be the maximum leap weights. Average, minimum. Oh, small. Okay, so max, small. So between big and small, let's just call it medium. Okay, max, MED for medium, and small. That's how we'll call these things. So our setting is medium. So we have steps. I'm going to write that down. Our steps are set to 41 to 61. And our leap weights are set to medium. Okay. All right. Good. And then if we go to rhythm, we've got density is 70 to 90. And we got subdivision, so we have sub. Okay. All right, so let's enter into that. Let's give this preset our name. So we got 4-bar, comma. We got sub for subdivision, right? Our density is 70 to 90. DEN, comma. That gives us our density. And then all we have to, leap weight. Weight is leap. Let's just call that leap medium. LEAP hyphen MED, comma. And then steps 41 to 61. Step 41, 61. That's a long one. I don't think we'll see the whole thing, but that's all right. So we save that. Okay. Okay. So I think this approach here is good. You know, you go in here, you play around with these different options here until you get something that works. And then when you get something that works, you got to save that. Okay? And then we can use this, since this works, we can use this as a starting point, and well, we had step in the opposite direction, right? After a leap, step in the opposite. That's kind of traditional counterpoint. Yeah. Well, let's stop there. I think you get the general idea. I mean, we could sit here for hours and hours, like tweaking these different parameters. We can do this for days on end. And I'm sure the more you do it, you're going to stumble on some good combinations. And here's the bottom line. When you get a combination you like, save it as a preset. Okay? Now you don't have to use, follow my naming convention. I mean, even if you had even if you gave them numbers like preset 1, preset 20, I mean, as long as you got them there, like, you can call them up. But I think giving them some kind of information, so you can you can select them, you can make some kind of choices when you're selecting these. I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I think we're gonna leave these other parameters alone. The scale note weights, I mean, that pretty much speaks for itself. So this is distinguishing between the scale note versus chord note. So the chord notes would be the root, the third, and the fifth. So you can see here, the root, it always has, the most emphasis. uh, and then the fifth has a lot of emphasis too. So at this setting, he's giving them both 100%. Then the third, gets a lot of. So really, the three chord notes, the three triad notes are given almost, equal weight, 100%. And then the second and the fourth 50, the sixth 60. I think I like that setting, and then the 730. I mean, this looks like a nice setting. And by the way, you've got these two options here, which is terrific. So you can set them all to equal values, or just go back to where we were. These are default settings, so that's easy. Obviously, if you set them to all maximum, you're going to get some more variety, but probably more bad melodies. We can try that. So generate melody, see what we get. You're going to get more, sevenths in there, and yeah, it's going to be more dissonant. But it's not bad. Nice. I like that jump of a 6 from C up to the A. You probably learn in music school, My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. That starts out with a jump from of the tonic up to the sixth degree. Okay, so that was scale notes of equal value. I mean, all the notes being of equal value in the randomizing choices, and then this one giving more emphasis to the chord notes. Now, if you want, one setting you might want, this would be handy, is to do 100% chord notes. Okay, because sometimes you want a melody like that, 100% chord notes. So let's see what we get there. So we can start. We'll start with the 1. Always generate that. So you can see. Now, even though we've chosen only chord notes, you'll still get some outliers because of these variations. Okay, like the lead-in notes and that kind of thing will give you if these have the possibility of creating like notes outside of the first, third, and the fifth degree, the chord notes. So don't worry about that. See, here we've got a fourth, but that's probably because, we've got connecting notes. So if I take that off, see, then the fourth disappears. So that explains why, even if you select just chord notes, some of these variations will give you, connecting notes and things will give you notes that are not in the chord. Okay. And by the way, I should have made this clear. When I selected the root, third, and the fifth, that's obviously only for the chord built on the first scale degree. So that's not, so in C major, that would be the C, E, G. Okay. So the melody would be completely confined to the one chord. All right? Think about that. it'd be completely confined to the one chord. Now, what could be interesting is that you create these melodies based on chords, and so you start with the C, right? And then you create another melody, and this time in D minor, okay? D natural minor, and you make sure to select only chord notes for that, okay? So in other words, and then you stitch these melodies together, okay? So the melody will still be in C major, but you'll have, one section of the melody will be in in C, and then you can have another in D, another in G, and go on like that. So that opens up a whole bunch of possibilities. So all you really have to do is select the chord notes, right? From your from the motive tab, just select the chord notes in this scale note weights 100, 100, 100. Okay, that's going to give you the triad built on whatever scale you use. So we'd have D minor, E minor, and then F. We go to F, and then that would be major, right? Natural major, and then we go back to our motive, and we're not going to have to change this. So here, we're waiting, our melody is going to be built on FAC, right? Which is going to be in the key of C major. So I think you get an idea what I mean. So what you do in a case like that would be, you take your melody, you'd add them to the clipboard, and then go into the composition window, and you'd put, like if I built the melody on F, I could stick that melody here and paste it into the window under the master track F, and that melody, that's going to work. So that's something I hadn't thought of until this moment, actually. Okay, so I think we've covered pretty much everything we need to in the motive tab. We didn't play around with the repetition and the returning, but that's pretty obvious. You want some repetition in there, but not too much. If you always repeat the note, then you're only going to have one note in the whole melody, just the same note. And you don't always want to return to the same note. So that's kind of self-explanatory. And then the step, we have 5 different options. We can go anywhere. We can either leap or step, would be anything. Leap in the opposite direction. So this is all after a leap. So we could leap in the opposite direction. So what would that look like? Well, if we went from C to E, that's a leap. Leaping in the opposite direction would be from E down to C, or E to B, or E to A. That would be a leap in the opposite direction after a leap up. And likewise, if we went from E to C, then a leap in the opposite direction would be C up to E, C up to F, or up to G, up to A. So that's a leap in the opposite direction. Okay. Now here we selected a step in the opposite direction. So that would be, if we went from C to E, then the next one would be D. We'd stepwise from E we got to step down, and one step down from E is a D. Okay, so these are the options, the 5 possibilities. There are only 5 possibilities, I guess, and you can choose which one you want here. Usually you don't want successive leaps, but if you're kind of, I'll tell you a good thing to do here would be, if you're not familiar with, like, kind of, just if you don't have some general idea of the rules of counterpoint, there's just tons of stuff on YouTube about it. You'll see things, sometimes you'll see things like first species counterpoint and second species counterpoint, and don't let those names scare you. It's just, they're talking about, like, how many, what kind of polyphony is going to be involved in the music. I think I've got that right. So anyway, if you look at some of those videos on counterpoint, that's where, like, these rules were developed. They had very strict rules about which way you had to move melodically after a leap, and which way you should move. You know, there was a limitation on the number of successive steps. And basically, these composers, I think Palestrina was one of the early ones, they just figured out what sounded good. You know, and of course they're working in choral music, and which is a different thing from today's music. You know, when you're dealing with people singing, the ability to leap and things like that becomes much more problematic, let's say, because you don't want to give singers, like, awkward, a lot of leaps and awkward melodies, because it's just too darn difficult to sing. So in any event, you know, if you want to, you know, get some kind of background into this stepwise motion and leaps and stepwise motion, you can, you know, check out a couple of those videos, and you know, you'll get a feel for these rules. But essentially, the rules pretty much tell you, you know, what tends to sound good. All right, so I think we've covered everything. We've covered the scale note weights. That's pretty easy. The leap weights, that's straightforward. The direction, or what happens after a leap. Repetition and returning, that's self-explanatory. The steps and the leaps, these percentages and what they mean, still mystify me. That, you know, if someone figures that out, please, like, throw something in the comments, some kind of hint, so the rest of us can kind of have a better understanding. But again, the takeaway, my takeaway is that, you know, play around with these settings, and when you find something that works, save it under the heart. Okay, and that's just that seems to be just the best way to go, instead of, you know, really trying to kind of digest all these options, and then, you know, approach making these melodies by saying, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to, you know, what options? No, I just don't see that, and I don't think the developer envisioned that at all. I think the approach that I'm suggesting is what is going to work. Okay. All right. So I'll see you in the next video, and where we'll check out these variations and see what we can do with those. Okay. All right. See you next time.